last Google level 1 final week. That's it. But then I think is this the last week for this book study too? Are we at the end?
This is the second to last week. We've got the last one in 2 weeks' time on chapters 13, 14, and 15, right? So this is 11 and 12. I can even remember the numbers. And the last one on the 18th, because it clashes with the coaching
that's
PD.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
I saw that. So I was going to say I'll be at the next one, the whole thing, but then I have a little bit of a conflict. Well, we all have a little bit of a conflict, so.
Yeah.
And if everyone prefers to move this to make it to that one, like, I can be flexible. Francis, though, let us know, because it's your schedule too. So
I'm happy to change it. If whatever suits you all, I can change to. Any other day I could do that same week. If you want to change it, I don't mind.
I'd vote for a change, but
so we've got one vote for a change. What do the rest of you want to do?
Change to when?
Which day would suit you, or maybe type in the chat a day that would suit you.
I've got nothing going on.
You've got nothing. You've got nothing going on, or you're just so busy you can't fit us in?
No, I've got nothing going on. It's just I don't even know. Do I have any? I don't think I ever have anything going on. We sometimes have meetings on like Fridays. No, Fridays are not my good days in the mornings on the Pacific, on the West Coast. It's a different time zone.
Is that a week later? I can do that if that suits you all. Yep. Hi, Priscilla. We're just talking about changing the last, I was going to say, episode of our book study to a week later because it clashes with the coaching PD training session. So I could do May the 25th if that suits everybody else. I'm happy to do that if you all prefer that.
Same time?
I can do same time if you all can. I can also do earlier, but that gets into your day, so I don't mind. Later is starting to get quite late for me, though, because it's already quite late when we finish.
I can do a little bit earlier.
I don't mind. I'm happy to keep it the same if it's easier for everybody, but just a week later.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Becky? Because you kind of have to be here, don't you?
Oh, well, have to is a nice way of saying I actually enjoy being here. And finally, I don't have a ton of extras happening. It works for me perfectly.
Okay, brilliant. We'll do that then. Thank you. Okay, let's get started then on question 1. So I've been madly trying to catch up on the people who've just added comments to the slide. So if I miss you, just shout out. So question 1 is all about student agency and amplifying student voice. And Jerry, you started us off with this one, and you were wondering how to build foundations for this. So maybe the others can give us some tips. What do you think? I think it was you've put because you were talking about teachers were often afraid. Oh, have you got you don't look like you're muted, but I can't hear you.
Issues.
Okay.
I apologize. So I'll do my best to listen in while I struggle with my technology.
I can just leave my mic on and you can talk through mine.
There you go. I can only get the sound on.
She's right. She's like 6 feet from me, 10 feet from me.
No, okay. Okay, so I'm going to move to Kelly then. And Kelly starts by asking a question, which was, how do you foster quality talk in the classroom? And then she kind of went on to answer it quite well. So would you like to start off then, Kelly?
Yes, I think this has been a challenge, I think, with a lot of our teachers for years. You know, how do you get an extended conversation, academic conversation from kids, you know, with their voice? And I really liked the chapter and how they gave the goals, setting these goals with, you know, the kids to teach them how to have that conversation. And I think it would be neat to even take do a training and take adults through each one of those stages. I know I could use it. You know, it's hard to really linger with a topic long. And I use a lot of examples from Reading Workshop when we did book clubs the first time, and these were with like your top kids. And we're like, okay, go discuss the book, and they're like, it was good, and that was it. That's all they said. And we're like, well, how about let's talk about the theme? Well, here's the thing. Like they didn't know how to linger, with the conversation and how to use their voice, and especially in the academic world. So I really like this chapter and how it, just set some goals. They're not, I think I like Lucy Calkins' quote, it's not in their DNA. So we need to teach them how to, amplify their voice and have these conversations. And I thought it really matched what chapter 11 was saying.
Yeah.
It's practice. We don't have it solved. I mean, we're still working on it. So
I totally like that part. I mean, it's not something that we ever practiced at school. When I was at school having conversations, it was like, be quiet and listen. So I think lots of our teachers find it difficult too, as well as the kids. So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Listening is hard too. I mean, you have your voice and then, that listening part. And, I was thinking, and I know we had talked Reading Workshop before, but man, there were a lot of great discussion practices in there. Play the Post-it, tabs on talk, all these neat ones. And I'm thinking, why haven't I moved that into the digital world? Because those would be some practices that we could move, they really helped with conversation, and they're off to the side now. And I'm like, oh, we need to bring them into the digital world. But
yeah. Talking of the digital world, in the chat, Cammy's put, has anyone used Parlay with students? And I signed up for it, but I haven't used it yet. So can you tell us all about it, how it works? 1 minute. Has anybody else used it then? Yes, Kelly's. No. Okay.
Francis, I was probably like you and signed up for it because as a Google trainer, you get a free account, right?
No, I don't. I'm not a trainer yet.
Okay,
I've sent my application off.
As a Google trainer, we got free Parlay accounts, and I signed up and I played around quite a bit, and I've played in there, mucked in there, but I've never used it with students. I think it would be lovely. So I was just, and its whole purpose, like Parlay, come en français, right? Parlay, say, I mean, that's like to talk. So
J'aimerais bien vous parler en français. Là, il n'y a pas de problème.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I signed up for it because I teach non-native speakers of English, and I thought it would be really good to use it. I just haven't had time yet to get my head around it and start using it effectively in the classroom. So I thought you were going to tell me all about it, and I was excited.
No, not yet. I was like, that. My question is like, has anybody? Because I'm excited too. I think it would be neat, but its purpose is really to, someone has said, or has obviously said, there's a need to cultivate that speaking and that conversational piece that is, and I think for our kids who are so, screen oriented, to talk to people has actually become a scary thing. And so we really need to have a safe spot and model that. I also put in there, like, Flipgrid is nice for that because they can practice and over and over and over. And that sometimes is a neat way for them to start because they can, practice till they get it just right and feel a little bit more comfortable with posting a best version. And so that's a starting place. But anyways, I haven't used Parlay with kids. I would like to.
Okay, good. Interesting.
And on that note, I think I have to leave you for today.
All right. Thank you. So we'll see you in 3 weeks, maybe.
Yes. All right.
All right then.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Thank you. And Roxy's not here, but Priscilla, you were talking about cyberbullying and also that Twitter is outdated for the students. So can you tell us all about that? Because
So a big concern in our district was just the cyberbullying in general with just online anything. The stem of it with our admin was requiring students, they attempted to require students to turn on their cameras for Zoom. But then it got brought up, like, this is an issue. Our middle school and our high school students are really concerned of if they were just like doing something and another kid screenshot and then made a meme out of them, and just that whole culture of just meanness on the internet. And then with like, yeah, the book was made in 2017 or printed. So Twitter, I think Twitter might have still been outdated for the kids in 2017 by the time it got printed. Instagram, TikTok, those are like the things now. But yeah, Twitter is like for us, like for the educators. And then once the kids basically get to like college, I feel like they start to join Twitter because like, that's where the adults are. But obviously they're still adults on like TikTok and such. But with the suggestion for simulating the experience, I think that's a really good opportunity to have those conversations. Like, okay, we're not going to like make a TikTok as a class, but and have a TikTok account or have an Instagram account as a class, but we could simulate those activities. I had it was a Google Slides, but basically each slide was a different social media platform. And it was like an informal, formal writing. So like slide 4 might have had email. And then it had a prompt of like, okay, write an email to your teacher. It could have been very about any subject, anything, but that should be formal writing. You're writing to your teacher. Where like slide 7 might have been Instagram. And it's like, take a picture at the zoo. So it's like using the insert image of a zoo animal and then give it a caption. And that could be informal. And then the students were able to, we compiled them and the students were able to see each other's. So I like the idea of simulating and then the connection to blogging. But I think that was another question, but I answered it in this one too. So.
No, it's really interesting to hear your perspective on it, different perspectives on it. Have you had similar experiences with the cyberbullying and the screenshots on Zoom and GMeet and things like that? I know. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, me personally, I have not, but I think that was the big concern of our kids, and they voiced that concern. So we didn't require them to turn their cameras on if they don't want to.
So I think it was Kelly. Was it not Kelly? I think it was Kim last time you were talking about students not liking being on camera, weren't you?
Yeah, they said, especially if it was projected on the whiteboard, so that the students that were in the classroom could see it, they were really uncomfortable with that. And I think teachers heard that and sort of respected the idea and kind of made a conscious effort, like, okay, we're not gonna do this, for the whole class period, because it's just not, it's not okay.
Yeah. And so Priscilla was talking about kind of simulating using social media. Is that something you would kind of find, I don't know, the word is not easier, it's the wrong word. Would you go more down that route rather than going directly to social media, do you think, with your students?
Definitely, I think simulating before actually doing, for sure, is a good idea. I mean, I think most of the kids, are using, TikTok, Snapchat outside of school, but and it's also, unfortunately, both of those things are blocked in our school. I mean, I'm a firm believer that you need to teach kids rather than just like block things outright. Like, show them the appropriate ways to use things. Don't like just block it and then expect that they're going to understand appropriate behavior. So, but I haven't gotten very far with that argument. So,
has anyone used Google Classroom, like leaving that chat open back and forth, and had any success with that?
On the stream, you mean?
On the stream, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do that with my students, and I try to encourage, because we teach in like students of non-native English to speak English. I try and encourage them but lots of teachers don't use it.
Yeah. I was wondering, I know I tried Edmodo briefly for a bit and shut it down too soon when I thought my students were being mean. And of course, it should have used it as a teaching opportunity and not, just reacted like, oh my gosh, they're being mean. And it would have been great because I think it was actually probably going well until I reacted badly. But that's why I thought, I didn't know if Google Classroom Stream would also be an opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah, I like it, and it's really easy to pick up on then quickly, isn't it? If they say anything that they, shouldn't be said, and then discuss it and whatever. But I guess it depends on your approach with your students. But I like using it for that. Yeah.
We use the stream. A lot of the teachers, not all of them in my district, use it, but we have it set so that way the teacher can view anything that was deleted. And we found that makes it a little bit easier for managing, and just being super upfront with the students that, if you post something, even if you delete it, I still get to see it all as the teacher. Where we've run into issues is when teachers don't have that on and something is said, but the teacher didn't see it before it was deleted. There's no way to find it again. So we just make sure to go into the classroom settings and turn that feature on and tell the kids that it's on.
Yes.
I find it eliminates a lot of issues when the kids know, I see everything in the nicest way.
That feature.
Mm-hmm.
Well, plus, anything that you want to do with them, it's always a good idea to practice it. If I was back in the classroom and I decided I was going to use that stream as a way for kids to communicate, which would be really easy because then it's very obvious right there, and everybody's, name shows up and everything. I do practice runs. I'd be like, okay, now we're going to practice responding to a person, and let's look at the kind of words that we can use that are encouraging. And now let's practice disagreeing with someone, and how would we express our disagreement with them, so that they know the proper ways to do it. But you would start that from day one, not just, okay, you're going to do it, and then, oh no, it didn't work.
Definitely.
What was it? I did some training once, and they said only have the kids practice the things you want them to do well. So. Makes sense.
Yeah, I use it for a lot of peer feedback and because it's quite easy for that, quite quick. Yeah, but it's building those routines into what you do, isn't it? And unless you teach the students to use it, then they don't know. So, yeah, interesting. Let's move to any other comments on that first question before we move to question 2. Do you want me to share my screen? I totally forgot. Will it help you, or are you okay like we are? I'll share it anyway. Sorry. It's late at night. Please forgive me. Right. And maybe you can you see it now? I don't know. I feel like my day's nearly over. Right. It's a bit slow. That's why. Okay. So we're coming to question 2. Okay. And this one is about blogging, as we've mentioned already. So basically students and teachers blogging, and somebody, I think it must have been Jerry, who was talking about Socratic Seminars. Was it you, Jerry, who mentioned those? Do you want to talk to us about those?
It could have been. I unfortunately didn't use them as often as I probably should have, but I really liked how the inner group is talking about the article or the passage or the controversial statement or whatever it is. And then the outer group is marking, for their person that they're standing behind, whether it's a helpful comment or whether they added to the conversation, there's a little rubric and they just tally. So they're responsible for kind of that feedback on how the discussion's going. And I think that would have been good, because now all of a sudden the outer group that's doing that rubric tallying is going to switch and think, oh, well, I need to add to it, or I need to disagree, or I need to give evidence, or whatever that is. So I like that format.
Yeah. When I read your post, I started reading lots of things about it. So very interesting. Yeah, thank you. I was so excited today. I don't know why. I got a bit extra time to read everybody's posts, and I just got really, really excited. But then I can't remember everything. And then Kelly, you said in your school and your district that blogging is underused.
Yeah, I'm always fighting this. I just feel like we have not really moved forward with blogging, with using podcasts, just with the learners that we have now. It's like we put this wallpaper up and we're not going to take it down, and it's been up for like 30 years. And that's kind of what I feel like with some of our practices, and our students, they want to blog, why not do a podcast and hit all those objectives, for speaking and listening. And there's so many neat things that we could do now. So it's just, plus, you can have an audience. I think the students will be more motivated. but it's, trying to encourage the teachers, I guess, to use these, different tools. And it could be because they're not comfortable with them. So maybe it's going to take training, and I think they're going to have to use them more. That's why I thought if I could do this in some professional learning, and where they would have an authentic audience, if it's just a short blog or a short podcast that they would do maybe for another department. So the more comfortable they get with it, get with the tools, I'm hoping that they'll use them, because it's so underused. I was trying to convince a English teacher the other day. She had to do an informational writing, and I'm like, have them blog something, and that could count for that, and they would be motivated. And I just don't think she was ready and comfortable with blogging at that point. So it comes back to the training and building their confidence with it.
That's really interesting. And I think there you've answered one of the questions I had about what you'd written. Because really interesting. And I'm going to come to Kim now, because Kim, I think it was you that shared a link to Wakelet with us.
I did. It's got a bunch of templates on there for different things, including a template that you could use as practice for a blog. And then actually you could end up publishing it if you wanted to, right on Wakelet, or just transfer it to someplace else. But I love places that have templates for things, because it really helps people to see, this is how you could structure it, and it takes away a lot of that, like, well, a great idea, but how do I do this?
Yeah, I got really excited when I saw that too, because I've just got a blog with my class, but my class at the moment, I've invited them to be authors, but I don't know if it's the way our college is set up, but they can only comment. So this would be a really good way to get them started, and then I could either later get them to copy it or just link it, and that would work really well, wouldn't it?
Well, I love the idea of Wakelet, just like you're curating. So you're responsible for creating, like synthesizing sources and information. And then if your audience is other students, it's like, is this useful to them? Is this helpful? And now they have to really critically analyze. Right.
Yeah.
I feel like there are so many things that you can use Wakelet for. It's amazing.
Yeah, I definitely want to use it more. I've started, but it's time, isn't it? And Melissa, I think you had a question regarding blogs and students' data that you wanted to ask everybody here.
Well, yeah, I just now saw the template, so I'll go and take a look at it. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. But we have, like we have our Google Classroom, or they can share Google Docs or work on a Google Slide, but trying to get that authentic audience, where they're actually putting their stuff out there, and, at the same time, protecting their privacy. I mean, in our district, we just gave the students emails, and we're a K-8 district. So, the littles have emails as well. And they can email each other, but they'd have to know each other's account. They can't just search their name out. But to use something, like there's a lot of things that are restricted for our use because of trying to protect student privacy. So you restrict it, then you're not really putting it out there. So I guess I was just trying to figure out how can they get that authentic audience, but at the same time protect their privacy. So I was just curious, but maybe there's something in those templates, and I can take a look at that and see.
Yeah. Brilliant, thank you. And Priscilla, you were talking about using Seesaw and connecting classes for blogging.
Yeah, so we have team teachers, and some of them are virtual classes. So the kids don't get to have that authentic, like, social interaction with their peers. So the two classes they're separate Seesaw classes, because they're rostered through our student management system. And so they turn on the blog feature, and you have a feature that you can connect blogs. And even if it's password protected, as long as you have the password, then you can connect the other class's blog, so then they can engage in conversation with their peers. So, and then if you're using Schoology, you could do the discussions as well. It would kind of simulate something similar. We're doing it because we have a pilot with Soundtrap. So the kids Soundtrap is it can be a collaborative platform, but if you're one of our classes, the students are creating a joke, and this is like their intro to Soundtrap activity. So they're recording themselves telling a joke, and it's not really fun when nobody else gets to hear the jokes. So in this class, the teacher is manually downloading each one of them and then uploading them onto something. But our other class, they made some music, and once again, music, something that you want to participate in. So the students in 6th grade learned how to download in this pilot group and then to upload it into a Schoology discussion. So then they could hear each other's music.
That's really cool. Yeah. I made a podcast with my class like the last 2 weeks, and I've not hit publish yet because I've downloaded it so that they can listen to it before they say whether I can publish or not. So I'm like hoping they're going to say yes. If they say no, I'll be really disappointed. But so it sounds like your school or district, Priscilla, is going a bit more with the blogging kind of thing than some of the others, from what Kelly was saying.
I think it's specific teachers. It's not like a whole district-wide initiative or anything. Because we do have Seesaw, but not everyone's using the blogging feature of Seesaw. I think they did start to venture that way because once we went remote in last spring, we turned the feature off. So before, the students were able to see each other's work in Seesaw, but because we were all going virtual and the possibility of cheating was very possible, if you could see everyone's work before you submit your work, then yeah, you're inclined to cheat. So the teachers were not happy with that feature being turned off. So then their kids didn't have that collaboration within Seesaw as much. There was obviously some little workarounds that could happen, but it wasn't the full stream of Seesaw. So the blog was something that we kept pushing teachers towards, and some took on it and some didn't.
So do you think when the first ones start using it, then it starts spreading out to more teachers when they see what others are doing?
Yeah, we've mentioned it. Like we do a monthly SMORE newsletter, and we do like a main tech tip, a Schoology tech tip, a Seesaw tech tip. So the blogging feature in Seesaw was one of our tech tips sometime this year, but doesn't mean that they're using it.
Yeah. Go on, Becky, because I see that you've just shared something in the chat with us. Do you want to tell us about? Are you allowed to talk today? Can you talk today?
Oh, I can talk today. I know, it's great. I'm like, I can engage a little more. Yeah, so I just finished up this instructional technology program with Brandman, and it was a 32-week course. And every week for 32 weeks, we were required to blog. And so it's all educators and all of that in the program. But it was really powerful coming from someone who did not like to write and someone who definitely did not have a blog prior to this program. Like when she told me I had to start one, I was not pleased. But I quickly learned blogging, it's like a muscle. You just have to practice, and it eventually becomes more and more comfortable, and everyone's a bit different. But it was also nice to see that each week looked a little bit different. Like I tried vlogging one week. We got to try podcasting. We got to try all of these different focuses, and got me thinking about how we could utilize that with students. And Melissa, going back to your question around authentic audience, in this course, the authentic audience was just my classmates. And sometimes it was us connecting afterwards, and we were like, was that really the prompt last week? What did that have to do with anything? But then we could talk to each other and see, okay, that article actually led into next week, da da da. And we're helping the instructor reframe the course anyway, so it was nice to have that. But I think what was most valuable from the blogging was the feedback from our instructor. And so when pushing blogging with students, that feedback is incredibly valuable at first before you start having students share their blog with each other. Because in the beginning, I did not want anyone else reading my blog. Like, it was public, but the thought of someone else in my class who I didn't really know, who was who knows what their background was in teaching, but when another teacher's reading your stuff, you're a little worried. So getting that great feedback from the teacher prior to having students share their blogs with each other helped, and then pushing that blog now further to an audience beyond just the students. So down at the very bottom of that blog are some of my other classmates, their blogs that they did, just so you can kind of see some variety in what happened. But it was a great experience for us, and I strongly recommend utilizing it in professional development and with students.
That was my next question. I was just going to ask you, because it's something I've been trying to do, and I'm thinking more for next year, trying to get everybody like occasionally to contribute to a blog and then discuss what they've done together, if you think that would be like worthwhile or not.
No, I definitely could see it just has to be consistent. I think if I was asked to blog 4 times throughout the whole course, it would not faze me that it was a thing we did. But because there's 32 posts, like now it's a weekly ordeal. So I definitely think you could, and why not try it on and give people and other educators that flexibility. If you want to do a podcast, do that. If you want to do a blog, do that. If you want to do some art masterpiece, whatever. But I'm looking forward to trying this next year with the teachers I'm working with.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I need to go back to the slides now, because I'm showing Becky's blog to the world. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good.
Anything more on question 2 before we move on to question 3?
I was just going to say, so I thought about this and I actually answered it late. We have a high school art teacher who blogs, and what he does is he posts student artwork, and then students in the class, and I think it's required, I'm not positive on this, but I think the peers all have to respond to each other's work. But then what's great about it, because our high school definitely, showcases a lot of student art. So students across the building get to see, but people outside of the building don't. And because this teacher publishes that, blog, parents and other community members get to see it. And it's really, really cool, to see that. And I think students definitely respond to the idea that their work is going to be seen, and they're more willing to, work at it if they know, this is going to get posted.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially for something like art, but there's no reason why it should be especially for something like art, is there? It could be anything and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to ask you, Kim, that I forgot was you said that occasionally some of your admin blog. What do they blog about? What things do they write about?
So they'll write about, the latest and greatest, district initiative or whatever. It's just, that was sarcastic. Sorry. I'm embarrassed now that I said that. It's not consistent. So they're all required. We have a weekly town newspaper, and they have to take turns writing for that. So they spend more time on those newspaper posts than they do on actual blogging. But, they all have blogs. But
yeah, I guess time is the issue, right? As with everybody.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we're moving on to question 3, which is about moving educators from being passive receivers of knowledge to risk takers. And Kelly, you said your method or strategy is to ask for help.
Yeah, I just, if a teacher has even tried something with their class, ask them to come in and share that with the others and, build capacity. Especially in the different departments, I think it's good that they see it, being used in chemistry and physics and, mechanical engineering, like just seeing it in all of the other different disciplines. But any way that I can build capacity by having the others share, that always helps because, I think sometimes it's always me, here she comes again. What is it today? And they're wonderful. I mean, I work with wonderful colleagues, but I just, again, I like that authentic sharing too. I use this in physics and it really works. So everybody, and everyone's listening then because this is, it relates to their content. And it does, I think they're more willing to take a risk then because it has been used. A teacher did use it, in their department or in their school. So anytime I can bring somebody on board to share, to train, with something that they did, I think I might be ahead of myself, or I don't know if we may have already read this about the different playgrounds and having these, play dates where they can come and share, just stuff like that. Because it just helps. I think it helps the other teachers take that chance in using it because they know it is being used and others were successful with it.
Yeah. And that was my next question for you, because you put that you like playing school. And I thought you might explain. Yeah. What do you mean by playing school?
You can see when they come in and I'm just like acting. I'm like, hey, welcome to class. I'm so happy you're here. Everyone sit down. We're going to be doing this. And I just go right into acting mode because I just, I can show them how to use it, but until they actually experience it, and it kind of like what Becky said and that made me think, Becky, like even with blogging, it's like, they don't think, like a lot of the teachers don't like to write, and I say blogging and they're like, whoa. And that's probably why it's not being picked up. But, having them come in and experience it and know it's not you're not writing a 3-page essay and you can write on content that you have a passion about. But I'll just play school with them, and I don't come out of character the whole time. And then at the end, I'll be like, okay, what do you think about this? And then I share what the tool, how do you use this tool? How would you use it with, in class, the mechanics of it at that point. But those are my favorite trainings because they're doing the whole time. They're active with the practice or in that. So
yeah,
I do. I enjoy that type of training.
I like it. And then Kim, this is the question that you really want to talk to us about Wakelet on, right? Go for it.
No, I just, I was thinking about the idea that, departments usually share a bunch of stuff via Google Drive, right? And it's like, okay, so let's amp that up one more level. Why don't, try using Wakelet instead as your thing. And as you get comfortable with that, then maybe maybe you haven't published your Wakelet so that other people can see it, but all the collaborators can see it. Okay, so now you're comfortable with that. Now publish it so that other teachers can see it. And, look at all the examples that other teachers have published and, get teachers comfortable doing things that way.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way because when you share it with your colleagues, they're going to say, oh, this is really good. You should share it, right? And that's how it starts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. And Melissa, I'm coming to you next. You had 2 things that I wanted to ask you about on this one. The first one was you were talking about telling your colleagues about the book study. And how did you go about telling them about the book study? Go on.
Oh, just, when I'm working with other teachers and I'm telling them, you need to go beyond your other 2 teachers at the same grade level. You need to go outside and, well, part of it was, where I mentioned the comment about it being another thing. They're like, I'm doing this right now and I don't want to have time. They think that Twitter is going to be like a time consuming thing like Facebook, which it could very well be. But, and, I don't even bother to try to show them TweetDeck or anything like that to manage that. But I do mention, sometimes whenever I show them a new tool that I got from Twitter, then I say, oh, I got this, there's free stuff. You go to Teacher Pay Teachers, honey, I get stuff for free. Let me show you how. I don't pay for anything on Teacher Pay Teacher, unless there's something really cool. And granted, I'm not an elementary, so, they got the cutest stuff for elementary teachers. But since I'm a middle school person, I just, I'll say, oh, I found out about this. Oh, now that it's been a year, I think, or almost a year. I'm not even sure how I found this book study. I don't know if it was from Twitter or if it was from the coaching curriculum, or I don't know how I found it, but I mentioned that, I'm getting ideas from other people and I'm getting feedback. And then by us, writing and sharing a document, when I talk to them about collaboration on Google Slides. And I say, well, I've got this book study and there's people all over the world. We've got people in the Middle East and in the UK. We've got people in, wherever. And I said, and we're all collaborating on the same document, and we can see in real time when they're writing on it. And it's just really great. And you can do that in your classroom, and you can even do it across periods. If you've got somebody in third period that wants to collaborate with somebody in seventh period, it can work. And they're like, really? So anyways, it's just kind of a way to get them. But I do try to get the teachers to, so that's the thing I mentioned about, was it here where I mentioned it? Oh no, it was somewhere else where I mentioned about like giving them like the links to the freebies or the giveaways, just to get them to see what's out there. And that doesn't have to be time consuming, but that it's, I can't even tell you, I've gotten so many free things from, I've got books.
Such a shame we're virtual.
And to add to Melissa's, I'm like trying to convince these old school teachers, just make an account for work. Just do it for work. You like, where do you guys get all these ideas? Well, it's easy, but like, no, you don't have to be a Facebook person. Just get a word anyway. That's all.
Yeah. Talking about so I definitely found EC Open Chat from Twitter, and it was like so exciting for me to find it, and it's made such a difference for me. But when you go into the coaching curriculum now, it's one of the first things that comes up is the EC Open Chat and the book study. I was like, oh, wow, there we are. But you must know all that, Becky, already.
It's honestly been so awesome watching the journey, and the fact that we got added to that page was pretty cool. So it's still, I'm like you, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I love seeing the growth, and I'm already thinking about next year in cohort 3. So it'll be fun. I'm excited. Yeah.
That was what I was planning to ask you about if we had time at the end, but we might not, so we better hurry up. There's some number 5. I think that's Jerry. Have you added at the bottom? Is it you that's added about lockdown making a difference to teachers at the bottom?
Yeah, this is a question that vexes me, and I continue to, circle around. And, we all keep hoping that maybe this period of lockdown is going to be some help for this remote teaching. But, I'm like a lot of people, I'm afraid everybody just go back to what they did before and not be risk takers. So, I don't know. I love listening to what you guys have to say.
So in response to your question, from what I've seen in my college, some teachers are trying to go back to what they did before, but management have seen that. And for next year, they want me to put a strategy in place to kind of stop that. So at least that's a positive point, and we will have some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Communication will be the same from all of us rather than different from each of us, which it was before. And I felt like I was on my own and just a weirdo trying to get people to do these things. So that for me is better. I don't know about the rest of you. What do you all think?
I worry about it too. Just they've made so much progress and so much learning, and we're 1-to-1 with Chromebooks, and I think it's a balance. I think everything is a balance, but man, I just hope that they use our practices, especially for the learners that we have now.
Yeah, thank you. So if anybody got any more comments on question 3 before we go to question 4? No? Question 4 is the one. It's a pity Roxy's not here because it's about coaching portfolios. And she could have shown us how far she's got, but she's not here. But I was really grateful for your responses on this, because I typed up my answer and then I read your responses and I thought, oh, that's what I should be doing on a coaching portfolio. So I was just really happy. So I'm going to come to Kelly first of all. Tell us what you wrote.
Well, with my portfolio, I feel like I've been all over. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a site. So I did create a site for my portfolio. And then I've kind of been, and then I'm in a slide, and I'm doing a Google slide deck, and then I put the slide deck in the site, and I'm just like, but it's really hard to decide what you want in there. At first it was all stuff that for my artifacts, for my coaching experience, but I feel like there needs to be just a separate page on there too for teachers and resources that I can pull to show, because I have a tendency to show a lot of literacy examples, and I have to show, I have to honor the other content and use social studies examples, chemistry, math examples, because sometimes it's hard for them to transfer, from how would I see this in my discipline? So just finding some authentic artifacts of different subject areas, of things done in our school by our teachers that I can pull to show during coaching cycles and say, because a lot of times I'll hear that from teachers, I just want to see an example in my class, how would it look? So just building that, and it's going to be a process.
Yeah, a process. And I was impressed, Melissa, because it sounded like you'd had your portfolio established for some years, and I was very jealous.
Oh, no. I actually started it before I was a coach, and I was kind of doing it as like a digital online resume. So I was putting all my credentials or whatever. And then as I saw people using portfolios and to do their coaching stuff, the one thing that I noticed when I would look at other people's is that they have, pictures of them presenting or pictures of or evidence from when their coaching cycles. So now with using Connect Hub, I'm going to find ways. I'm going to, if nothing else, a screenshot of little charts that they come up with. But I haven't actually touched it in years. No, it's not anything.
Well, I was impressed anyway. And coming back to Connect Hub, I just have to ask you a question about Connect Hub. How does that sit with the personal data and students, like colleagues' data? Do you have any issues with that with using Connect Hub? Because I was just a bit worried.
With colleagues' data, it's just because it's not shared district-wide or anything, and it's just, so, and it'll kind of come up. There's a lot of ways to sort the data, so you can, if you're trying to look at the amount of time you spend coaching and in what categories, you can grab that information without actually showing.
Yeah, no, it looks
teachers' names. You can look at grade levels, who you're working with. It's kind of more for, I look at it right now because we barely started using it. I look at it more as a tool for myself so I can see where I'm spending my time and what I'm spending my time doing. Although I haven't actually added my own time in there, but my professional development time.
I really like it. It was just when I started uploading all my colleagues' email addresses on there, I thought, oh, I better stop and I better check with my college because they're that's like giving out staff data. So I have to check with them first. But I really like
access it.
It's not that they could access it, but just imagine what could happen to the data online. So I have to check with them whether I can do that or not in our college. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, it's a problem in ours because we're just using it internally, so, and then, once I figure out how to use it a little bit better, then I can use it for the digital coaching or not digital coaching, the Google coaching program thing.
And how about Priscilla? I'm sure you have a portfolio of some kind.
I don't have one yet for the coach, but I remember going through my education program, and originally for my bachelor's, it was like the paper portfolio, like the nice leather bound, beautiful thing that nobody ever looked at. But then when I was working in my master's in educational technology, they really pushed online portfolios. So I actually have 2 online portfolios because I was very ambitious and got 2 master's degrees. I don't know why. It did not really make a difference in my pay. So it's just a very expensive piece of paper just for the whole world to know. So now I have 2. I have one on Wix and then I have one on Weebly, and I need to pick a platform to merge them, or I've heard good things about WordPress. I tried it. It's just too much back end work to make it what I want. And I don't like ads. And so there's a lot of them, and it's right here. I have a list of what I want to put on it, but I haven't like actually done it because there's just so much work.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree about the adverts as well. Yeah, one of my friends had one, and every time I clicked on it, I got adverts popping up on my screen for ages afterwards. Very annoying.
Yeah, I hate the blogs that like it's like a recipe and you have like a whole blog with like 20 ads and then you have to like go down to get to the recipe. Like I don't want that for my portfolio. I don't want to be the recipe portfolio.
You got to get that little jump to button. Jump to recipe.
What's your guys' favorite like platform to make your portfolio on?
I use Google Sites. So I have not done a formal, coaching cycle yet. But in Massachusetts, for our educator evaluations, we have all of this stuff that we have to provide to whoever our evaluator is. And you have, some people do old school and just do paper, copies of evidence. Since I use Google Sites for the Media Center as my platform for access for students, I just translated that into, something else by doing a site for my EdAL stuff. So all the standards are on different pages and then sub pages for substandards, and and it works really well because anything that you want to input into it, you can. So
yeah, we have a Google site for our like main, like we call it the Tech Tidbits Hub, for all like the resources and everything for the teachers to get to. So I guess that would be probably the easiest option, especially for a Google coach.
Yeah, and then you're not worrying about the advertising either. So
Thank you. So this question was in several parts, I think. There was a part about encouraging deep reflections as well. Did anybody have anything else to comment on that we haven't already said? No, lots of shaking heads. So I'll move to question 5 then, if I can find it. So question 5 is, this is about resources again. So Kim, this must be for you. This is, what are some other resources that we can push educators towards that will help promote understanding and will cultivate independence? I found this one really hard. Because for me, there were so many resources and it was about not giving too many resources this year, certainly. So I guess it's about prioritizing, is it then? Kelly, you were talking about the academic goals, so I'll come to you first.
Well, this is where I think the Google coaching cycle really helped me, because I tend to say, oh, let's look at the whole world, and with the cycle where they were able to identify their challenge, and then we stayed with that one challenge for, a couple of them kept going with it. But that really gave us time to narrow in on one tool. So because there are so many out there, to really look at that challenge, how can we address that challenge, what tool, and then they had all the reps of it, so they were able to fail and then sail because it wasn't one use. And there's so many great tools out there, but the coaching cycle really helped narrow that down and keep the focus on the challenge and on the goal, with one tool that was going to help, promote, elevate whatever the learning was. So that helped me, really kept us, I think it kept the teacher focused and gave them multiple opportunities with whatever resource they were using. And it kept me focused. I loved having that goal because even when we got, we were discussing and meeting, I could come back to that.
Yeah. I'm really liking this because I'm liking the way you're thinking about it, which is completely different from the way I thought about the question, but I really like your answer. It's making a lot of sense to me now. So I'm very happy with that answer. Thank you. So it's like building the confidence with one tool then makes them independent to be able to use it on their own. And that's completely not what I was thinking, but I really like the answer. Thank you. I'm very happy. Melissa, you were talking about badges and Twitter swag. So you've mentioned your Twitter swag. Are you still with us, or have you gone? Jerry, she's here. Tell us about your badges.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just finishing my lunch.
Eat some Twitter swag.
Eat in front of us, Melissa. Eat in front of us.
No, that's gross. Yeah, we have a software, a program that manages our absences, and it also is supposed to manage our professional development. And it's brand new, and that we just got it, and then COVID hit, so it was like, okay, back burner. We're not messing with that. We'll just do all our PD on Zoom, and that's it. We'll track it our own way. But we're looking at trying to find ways to retain teachers in our district. And so one of the features of it is a micro-credentialing program. And I mean, you know, I think I maybe attended a couple of, sorry, I have to take this. You can go on, Jerry, and tell.
Jerry can fill us
I'll
in,
finish for her. So we're trying to shift to more of an independent or personalized learning so that the teachers work at their own speed. But we do have, we have young teachers who feel capable and they still, of course, need help, making their technology instruction, creative and collaborative and all that for the kids, but they're a lot more confident. So letting them move ahead in tools and in pedagogical, lessons, and then they turn in things and we give them actually units. They're tight about moving them over on the pay scale. But, that's been a process of talking to the union and all that. But we also need to support those teachers we have the older teachers. And I'm stereotyping. Who doesn't? But old teachers are not capable. I'm an old teacher, but trying to give them that independence and trying to make it, choose your own PD, and which is what you talked about, and then getting credit for badges and certifications and all that. But I still think our teachers need a lot of handholding. But I've got some who just they continue to need that handholding. They're not making the connection, maybe. So. I wonder, I know I tend to want to push. I was just watching the Google Arts and Culture video that they did. And, they've got badges and all this, and they've got lesson plans. I mean, there's so many lesson plans. And I don't know, does that cause more dependence or does it cause more independence? If you saying here's a package deal for you that helps the kids collaborate. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Is it worse or better if you give them units of things?
Come on, Kelly.
Sorry.
Go on, Kim. Go on, Kim.
I was just going to say, I think that you're always going to have those teachers that are going to need more than your average amount of encouragement. And I think giving them some kind of a tool like that is not a bad thing at all. It's just, they might not move at the pace that we would like to see them move at, but they're moving.
I think it circles back in our district to a typical problem. We don't have the messaging from above. So they start to get that risk taken. They go, oh, no, I have paperwork or I have a test. I have to, everyone's watching my kids' test scores. It has to match this, state test or this whatever standardized test. So we have a lot of fear still in our district.
It's good that your district is thinking about the two separate pathways, though. That's really interesting.
So there's not.
It's true.
It's something that I'm trying to get across to my managers, that everybody doesn't learn at the same pace, and you can't just put on one thing for everybody, and they're having real problems understanding that or wanting to listen, I guess. Yeah.
It's interesting that those, you've got so many people when you're face to face, with the tech training, and they're like, okay, let me go, let me do my thing, and then you've got those others who are trying to write everything you say down in notes. But meanwhile, they missed what you showed them visually. Like they don't know where to click because they're writing down where to click. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
It's really interesting. Priscilla, have you got anything to add on that note or a different one?
I feel like we've kind of gotten a lot of our teachers to become master Googlers. Because they'll come to me and they're like, I tried Googling the answer, but I couldn't find it. And so it's like, yes, you Googled. And when we actually share out a lot of our resources, we'll share out like the community links in Facebook for teachers that would want to join those communities to reach out and ask questions. Like sometimes I haven't noticed it from my teachers, but I have a counterpart. She's not here right now because I stayed late for this. So she sits right over there, but she's been in some of our groups that we're both part of on Facebook and have seen teachers from our district reach out to the community to ask questions. Sometimes we're like, we just sent instructions on that last week. So did you not check your email? But I've seen some of these teachers' emails. So sometimes email is not the best method, but sometimes it's kind of the only method we have when we're virtual. But yeah, so I feel like I wish our teachers used our Tech Tidbits Hub site more. Like we've put it on their Clever page as a portal button. We've bookmarked it for them. It's attached to my email, and I'm like, I can't give you the resource any better. We made it into a bit.ly. So yeah.
I'm so pleased to hear that that's not just me, like, because you can give information so many times in so many different ways, and then they just keep coming back to it, or you can hear them asking somebody else the thing that they've just asked you, and it's like, what? So yeah, that makes me feel a lot better. Thank you. Has anybody got anything else to add or to ask Becky before we go? It's been really amazing to get all your ideas again. And every time I come off this meeting, I'm like, my brain's whizzing around and trying to get everything and remember it all and use it. But yeah, amazing. Thank you very much. I will see you in 3 weeks' time, hopefully.
Yes, and I did update the calendar, so it should be updated on the EC Open Chat calendar too for the 25th.
Thank you.
Thank
Brilliant.
you all.
Thank you, everybody. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.